My first marathon debut and build-up are done. It was a nice and long journey.
We had the opportunity to train in Kenya for the past months.
Even my Kenyan haircut started to disappear a bit. In this video, I'll take you along my race and my lessons learned from the marathon.
Apparently, I can still walk the stairs pretty well, and the muscle pain is quite doable.
Maybe my recovery is back to normal again since I'm off antibiotics already almost 2 weeks. So that's a good sign.
So as most of you know, I was going to run the Enschede Marathon this weekend, a city to the east in the Netherlands.
It was so much fun to race and compete again for a good time. I love racing. My racing strategy was pretty simple. The first ladies they were paced at 2:22 marathon pace. So the goal was to remain fresh until halfway, and then try to run a negative split to get under the 2:20 mark.
I was on the sub-elite starting list, and before the race I could give away my drinks and gels for each 5 km point. They made clear how our bottles were going to be positioned on each table. To eat and drink enough, I took every 5 km 2/3 of a gel and 100 to 150 ml of carbohydrate mix. Here you see my bottles which are marked with a red straw.
I usually don't eat a lot more carbohydrates than usual. Maybe on Thursday and Friday, I try to eat a little bit more during my dinners. However, for 2 hour 20 marathon, you don't need that much carbohydrate stacking, in my opinion. But before the race, I take around 200 milliliters of Coca-Cola, shake out the gas. I also take a few sips of coffee, not too much, because it will dehydrate you maybe a little bit. And last 10 minutes before the start, I take half or 2/3 of the Martin caffeine gel. So I'm really well caffeinated and can go fly like a rocket. Caffeine is, in my opinion, the only allowed doping you can take as an athlete, and it works very well on me to uh, stay focused and become less fatigued or feel less fatigued during the race. Okay, let's go to the start now.
The first 5 km we left right on schedule at the right pace. And we had two super pacers with us, two sub 220 marathoners from the Netherlands. However, something striking immediately happened in the first kilometers of the marathon. There was no lady to be seen in our group. They immediately missed the connection.
I was joking with the pacer in the group if he wasn't able to pick up the pace and start pacing our group. However, he reacted wittily. He said, "How much do you offer for the pacing job?" Because he was supposed to pace the first lady, and he also got some money for it. However, they made a smart choice. One of the pacers just stick right to the planned pace, and the other pacer was going to pick up the first lady.
Already pretty soon in the race, I felt I didn't have super legs this day. The first 5k, I even felt my right hamstring a bit. However, no big issue there, the race is on. First 5 km split, we hit 16:43 and we are a bit faster than the 2:22 schedule. Perfect. In the first part of the race, there are also some half marathon runners in our race. We started at the same time. They split off after 14 kilometers. Just before the 15 km point, the first lady starts to join our group again, as you can see. The 15 km mark we hit in a time of 50:16 and we are good on the schedule for 2:21.
Until halfway, my nutrition went very well. I didn't have much issue to take the nutrition in, and my stomach was feeling quite okay. Of course, running at 18 kilometers per hour, it's never easy to drink a lot or eat a lot, so it will always feel a little bit rough. But so far, no issues.
Although already halfway, I start having a hard time. Here I put a thumbs up towards the camera, although I'm already struggling quite a bit. We hit a time of 1 hour and 10 minutes 53 seconds for the half marathon split. From this point on, I knew it was going to be pretty hard to make the sub 220. However, never give up and keep fighting in the race. You can keep the pace pretty steady until 25 kilometers. Here we lose the first pacer. Until 32 kilometers, the last pacer remains with us, and the pace remains pretty steady, around 3:21 per kilometer. The last 10 kilometers, we had quite some headwind, which made the finish pretty hard. Here, the first lady hit the marathon wall pretty hard, and she couldn't follow the pace anymore.
Unfortunately, until the finish line, I don't have a lot of footage from the race. Also because you were in front of the first ladies at this point and no cameraman around. However, the pace started to drop slightly until 35 kilometer point. We were just below 3:30 per kilometer. And then till from 35 till 40, we also had quite a bit of headwind. My legs started to feel very heavy. I didn't hit the real wall, but the average pace for the last 5K was 3:38 per kilometer. So we were losing quite some time on the schedule there.
In the end, I finished in a time of 2:24:43, being 10th overall. The first lady in the race was cut and finished 4th. The time of the first lady was 2:27:16, and the first man in 2:08:58. They are both from Morocco.
In the end, the sub 2 hour 20 marathon time was not on the clock. Of course, I had quite some setbacks in the last month of my marathon build-up, as you could see in my previous videos. So I'm still pretty satisfied and a little bit proud of managing to pull off this time in my marathon debut. Next marathon, I should aim for a lot quicker time. I think that also should be possible with a good taper and a perfect build-up. So I look back with some satisfaction on a nice marathon adventure. What personal lessons did I learn from the first marathon, though? Well, first, the marathon is not as hard as I expected it to be. Of course, it's a hard distance, but I was a little bit afraid, to be honest, before I went into the race. And now, with some experience, I will be less afraid for my next marathon.
I didn't have any cramps or problems with my nutrition, so my nutrition strategy seems to work.
The 17-kilometer training last week in Rotterdam was maybe a little bit too much going into the last week before my real marathon. Maybe because of the antibiotics, I also had quite some muscle pain. Without it and maybe a better taper, I would have gotten the super legs I was hoping for at the starting line. I hope you enjoyed this video. In the coming months, I will show you some video footage of my new race plans also for the fall. And in the coming weeks, I'll focus on some shorter distance races after my legs have recovered. So we'll do quite some speed work in the coming weeks or months.
I will also go on an 8-day training camp to one of the Greece islands with my athletics club, enjoying some sun and pina coladas. Maybe only the sun though.
Now, for me, it's not yet time to start running. Soon, I'll be back into it later this week. But for you, as always, if you still go out there today, have fun and get on a run.